All right, welcome back to Pietros Maneos Finance. I did a video earlier today on the Dogs of the Dow, Dogs of the Dow Symphony created and composer. And a gentleman, Glory Days, here wrote, "What is the theoretical background of this strategy, and why do you think it will be worthwhile to deploy in the future? To me, it looks a little bit arbitrary, especially the small variant." Thanks for the question, Glory Days. Appreciate you following the channel here. So the first thing that sticks out at me is, in a low yield world, the Dogs of the Dow strategy is essentially a blue chip dividend strategy. So right now, investors are going to things like covered call ETFs, BDCs, MLPs, closed end funds, hunting for yield because it's not there in bonds. So here you're able to stay within equities and you're able to stay within blue chip. I mean, you almost can't get any more blue chip than the Dow 30, right? And so, but yet you're taking the highest dividend yield in the Dow 30. So that's the first thing. The alpha part of it is interesting. It seems like there's not too much alpha, so maybe you're correct in the element of like maybe you just buy the ETF DIA, which is the entire Dow. Perhaps, but you do get the income. And from the back testing, it looks like there is a little bit of alpha. So let's just go here. Dogs of the Dow on Wikipedia. The Dogs of the Dow is an investment strategy popularized by Michael O'Higgins in 1991 in the official Dogs of the Dow website, which proposes that an investor annually select for investment the 10 Dow Jones Industrial Average stocks whose dividends are the highest fraction of their price. Under other analyses, these stocks will be considered dogs or undesirable. The Dogs of the Dow strategy proposes these same stocks have the potential for substantial increases in stock price plus relatively high dividend payouts. So it's essentially, saying that they're oversold, that the higher dividend yield is an indicator that they're maybe unwanted or oversold. Here's that particular part. The logic behind this is that a high dividend yield suggests both that the stock price is oversold and management believes in its company's prospects and is willing to back that up by paying out a relatively high dividend. Investors are thereby hoping to benefit from both above average stock price gains as well as a relatively high quarterly dividend. So then we're going to go to the results, right? So some of the back testing, because everything really goes back to back testing. So it says, for example, for the 20 years from 1992 to 2011, the Dogs of the Dow matched the average annual total return of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, 10.8%, and outperformed the S&P, 9.6%. The small dogs of the Dow, which are the 5 lowest priced dogs of the Dow, outperformed the Dow and S&P with an average annual return of 12.6%. So there you go. So there is a little bit of alpha. I mean, it's not substantial alpha, right? Glory Days. It's not, like my balanced alpha strategy, which back tests to 26%, right? It's not otherworldly alpha. But when you start doing a compound interest calculator, that especially the small dogs, when you start going from 9% to 12% at 2-3 percentage points over a long term, that can make a difference. And then you could just, if you're interested, I just typed his name into Amazon here, and it looks like Beating the Dow is a book that he co-published with a guy named John Downs. And then this was in 1990. That was in 2000, it looks like. And then maybe the original one, Beating the Dow, High Return, Low Risk Method for Investing in the Dow Jones Industrial Stocks with as little as 5,000. So that was a while ago, 1991, right? But if you're interested, you could just go on Amazon and pick up those books. It looks like it's only $4 used on this one, $1.50, so very inexpensive. You could pick those up and do a little more of a deep dive into Michael O'Higgins' mind there. And the other thing that's interesting here is I actually did I guess there's various permutations. So I did the small dogs of the Dow X, which is of the 7 highest dividend yield, the 3 lowest price, whereas the actual small dogs of the Dow are the 5 lowest priced dogs of the Dow. So what I wanted to do here is to go into Composer and actually create the small dogs of the Dow. And then what we can do is we can, from today onward, essentially, back test, moving forward, the actual results of dogs of the Dow, small dogs of the Dow X, and small dogs of the Dow. So I'm going to label it. I'm going to get a little close here. Let me move this back. I'm going to label it dogs of the Dow small. Just if I mentioned this in another video. If I named it small dogs of the Dow, it wouldn't be adjacent to it in Composer. So I want all of those together so it can easily analyze. So just to rehash, the actual small dogs of the Dow, the 5 lowest priced dogs of the Dow. So now we're going to Fast Graphs. And so these are the dogs of the Dow, the top dividend yield ranked there. And now we're going to do the lowest price. And you notice here, let's bring it a little bit lower, that Coca-Cola and Intel, because they were out of the 7, weren't in the small dogs of the Dow X. So it looks like we're going to have Intel, Coca-Cola, Walgreens, Verizon, and Dow. So let's start adding them into Composer. And so we're going to go equal. Okay. And now we're going to start adding them. So asset, Walgreens, Intel, Coca-Cola, I think Dow, let's see here, Dow. Okay, so that's 4 of the 5. So let's go back here and so we have Walgreens, Intel, Coca-Cola, Dow, what else? So we have Intel, Coca-Cola, Walgreens, Dow, and Verizon. That's the one I'm missing. So let's go back to Composer, VZ, back in Composer, asset, VZ. Okay, there it's loading, and there we go. So there it is. So we have the original dogs of the Dow. We have the small dogs of the Dow X, which is again the 7 highest yielding dividends, and then 3 with the lowest price of those 7 highest yielding dividend yield, and then the original small dogs of the Dow. You can get confused in all this, right? All the different permutations, which is the 5 lowest priced of the dogs of the Dow, which is the 10, right there. So you're choosing the 5 lowest price of the 10. So there it is. So let's save it, and actually let's do it this way, just so I don't forget all these. Where it talks, I want to copy and paste. Normally I don't put anything in the descriptions because I just kind of know in my head, but with these I don't want to forget the differences. Like a year from now I might not remember. 5 lowest price dogs of the Dow. Okay, so save. And we go back. Okay, we go back. And then we can go down here, and we could just see. Okay, so you see, dogs of the Dow annualized 8.8 this year. Dogs of the Dow small 15.3. Dogs of the Dow small X 18.7. So those, you remember that dog, the small dogs of the Dow X is going to be the most concentrated. Oftentimes, concentration can lead to alpha. It could also lead to massive drops as well. But so the fact that it's 3 instead of 5 or 10, oftentimes be good. I wouldn't put too much stock in these particular, this year. You really want to look at the back test, and then obviously moving forward now over the next 5 or 10 years. But yeah, I hope that's informative. Gave you some background on Michael O'Higgins, a couple of his books, how the idea behind it. And again, it might be, I created a covered call. Would be in C's covered call ETFs. Again, that's kind of an income based symphony, and just we're in a low yield world, and so where are you going to look for yield? So this may not even be an alpha strategy. This might be a blue chip dividend strategy for you, even if at the end of the day over 10 years it equals the return of the Dow and or the S&P, you're going to get a little bit more income from it. So anyways, that's it for today. Appreciate the question, Glory Days. Feel free, anyone else, any other questions, comments, really appreciate that. Take care. Ciao.